This is Bitcoin zoomed out on the weekly. It's looking nice from a cycle perspective, but you start zooming in and you start saying, you know what? This move that's actually happening right now, halfway through the bull market doors, looks a little bit sideways the last few days or so, but the move that just happened on the weekly, we just got a weekly close, historic moment for crypto. I've been doing these videos for 6 years. This is a first. I want to break down what's next for Bitcoin. ADA zoomed in kind of on the daily at a critical moment as Bitcoin's breaking its bull market doors. ADA, believe it or not, testing its own, knocking on the bull market doors. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. Let's jump into the video. I want to start here on the weekly for Bitcoin. It really is. We've been talking about it. We've been waiting for it. We got rejected at the 618 bull market doors back here. In case you're unaware, of course, I'm going to chart it for you. Swing high from a bull market to the bear market swing low. It's just a Fibonacci retracement to the 618 to 786 range. Huge resistance area. But it is the bull market doors nonetheless, because we break this area. That's a very big confirmation. Cycles past, that's been the case. You zoom out on a weekly. So the reason why the weekly close that we just talked about, we see the weekly candle right there. We have a brand new one in formation right now, very early. The reason why it's historic is because you zoom out on this chart, and every time we can go to the last cycle, for instance, we get a weekly close in the range, in the bull market doors. It has led to that parabolic bull market, right? So that's that last cycle. You can go to the cycle before that. You can see right here, weekly close. It led to the parabolic bull. And look at I want to make note of the volatility that Bitcoin had for a couple of weeks before the true takeoff. But if we look at the move now, and this is what it's done cycles past, what makes it historic is the fact that this move is happening before the Bitcoin halving. So that supply shock, as I talked about, I think in yesterday's videos, is truly happening before us. And it'll be very interesting now to see, if we start zooming in on the daily, how is Bitcoin going to interact? So real briefly, I wanted to point out what just happened, that move. It happened. We got the weekly close. I was a little concerned for a moment if we look at the weekly candle. It wasn't the biggest range, right? From the 618 line at the bottom to where Bitcoin closed as around 8%. And it was starting to kind of come down a little bit, right? So it very well could have just fallen in a matter of a day or two below the 618 and kind of putting in a rejection similar to here. But we got that historic move, and now we have a new weekly candle that, of course, we'll be tracking. We start zooming in on the daily. Now we can start kind of just saying, you know what? Let's watch to see if Bitcoin operates within these bull market doors in a similar fashion to previous cycles. And it kind of moves in different ways throughout the cycles, but in general, what we're looking for, at least what I'm looking for, especially on the RSI, would be, how does Bitcoin, even if it's going to retrace, two things. Number one, will it see support at the 618? That's the new support that I'm watching. The support at the 618, I want to see the 20 really get into that Fibonacci bull market door area, and then obviously the 50 pulling up. So I want to see real strong support start forming at 48,000, but that is to say Bitcoin could dip and we could be testing that area. That's something that would be normal. But on the RSI, I'm kind of just watching to see, can Bitcoin, whatever consolidation does take place, can it take place in the overbought area on the RSI? And the reason I bring that up is because if we kind of zoom out on the chart, and this is very zoomed out, to give you a sense of that RSI and how Bitcoin moved, check out the last time Bitcoin broke the bull market doors. There's some red candles in there. There's some consolidation. You see the 20 dragging into the bull market doors, the 50 eventually, and Bitcoin as it was consolidating. Some red candles throughout in that overbought area. So we want to see this continued momentum, right? It's not a bad thing for Bitcoin to be overbought. It doesn't mean, hey, we're overbought, we're going to go all the way back down to oversold. Bull markets are different. Bull markets are different. So that's what I'm watching on the daily chart for Bitcoin. Obviously, it's very simple. I'm not tracking really any type of structure on the short term. The daily chart for me, as Bitcoin hangs out in the middle of these bull market doors, is, can we test that area to the upside? We're talking about like $57,000 or so, the 786. It is not far away, everybody. It could happen this week. If this demand, this supply shock, the scarcity continues, 10% move, and it's game on. Now to the downside, to give you an idea, because Bitcoin is in the middle of the range, to test that support, around a 7%, 8% move to test the bottom of this range. So that's simply what I'm watching this week so far. I'm sure new things will form, but that's what I'm watching on Bitcoin. ADA charts. I have a lot to break down. I have this new volume profile indicator I want to kind of infuse into the charts right now. And I think it's going to help tell the story of Cardano's bull market doors and what we need to see ADA do next. It's been a nice move for ADA, a little bit of an upper trend move. Before we do, everybody, shout out to Coinledger, today's sponsor of the video. Crypto Tax is done in minutes. I've done demo. I've talked about, in how to use this. I'm going to integrate an ADA chart into a point that I want to make, but import your wallets and exchanges. And what I'm going to explain, this is done in minutes. Clicks of buttons, a few clicks of buttons. Classify your transactions automatically. Track the cost basis and historical prices so you can view your gains and losses, right? And I want to show you something in the dashboard, and then obviously download your tax report. All done in minutes. I want to show you something. This is obviously, the transactions once it's imported. Imagine just manually tracking all of these. And what I want to talk about is not only that, if you let's go to an ADA chart zoomed out, and this can apply to any chart, a Bitcoin chart, Solana chart, whatever. I don't know what your journey has been in crypto, but it's a good idea to have historical data on your journey in crypto, right? Meaning, were you buying back here? Were you selling some here? Were you selling some here? Were you buying some here? That's critical because we're still well below that area. And all of these things, they directly impact your tax situation. Now imagine trying to just, wherever those buys were, tracking those buys down and creating a report about what happened. Or you can just very simply, bring into play the exchanges, hook it up to Coinledger, and it's done for you. And not only that, they have this option back here where you're basically reporting your calculation method. There's different methods you can use. First in, first out, last in, first out, highest in, first out. And depending on what you choose, it changes the report calculation, changing the report calculation method will affect your tax report and your tax report data. So it's a lot of complicated numbers when you're just taking into account your entire crypto journey, all of the buys and sells, everything you've done, and then trying to compile a report and do it properly. Use Coinledger. Hit the link below. Sign up with them, everybody. They are an amazing product, amazing team, and I thank you for sponsoring this video, Coinledger. So let's jump into ADA charts and talk about it. There's a lot going on. Let me clean it up a little bit. I have a Lux Algo indicator I want to bring up. We have the volume profile that I want to talk about, and here's where we are. So if we're looking at this chart right now, and I'm just going to very quickly point this out, the move that's happening now for ADA from a technical perspective to the upside and even the consolidation prior to the halving is so similar to this move back here. So I don't know if you've seen me talk about this before, but one indicator that I'm waiting for ADA is the Lux Algo break of structure indicator to go off, right? This is what happened last cycle, and it actually happened around this moment after this consolidation, and then ADA took off. And this was after, on the macro, a change of character that went off. So change of character, cruise to the upside, and then we have consolidation, and then the break of structure. So that move is something I'm watching. And by the way, everybody, I'm going to zoom in on the ADA charts in this video, and I want to talk about the move that needs to happen next. I don't know if it's going to happen right now, but this is exactly what I'm tracking exactly right now. You see this Fibonacci green area, that's a resistance area I want to dig into. But I first just want to dissect something, because I want to talk about, all right, we had this move last cycle, that bull market move, parabolic move for ADA. It finally broke out, was consolidating at 10 cents. And before you knew it, ADA was like, breaking 50 and on its way to $1. If I actually do a replay real briefly, here's the consolidation move that we've kind of been in. Very similar. We can go back and we can do the replay. Let me go back on the chart. Hold on one second. Let's do, 3x should be fine. And let's replay it starting there. So if we're looking at the ADA charts, it's not replaying. I have no idea why it's not replaying. It's because I didn't press play. Now it's playing. And actually, I'm gonna do 10x because it's gonna take too long. So you can see ADA is consolidating the move on the weekly. It's gonna happen fast. And then all of a sudden, it's gonna put in this break of structure indicator on Lux Algo. You saw that break of structure. It just hit and boom, there it hits. And then ADA took off. This is the move that I'm waiting to see if we can get this to happen. Now, the thing that I want to point out as it relates to this cycle right now is this. Check this out. This next move for ADA. Check it out. It's going to go quick, obviously. ADA pumping, couple weeks of consolidation, and it's just going crazy, right? Now, at this moment, it's basically has broken all-time high. But it's this next move after the break of structure that I am monitoring. So let me exit this and go to the chart now. And what I want to point out to you is what I think would happen if ADA breaks out. We already know on this chart, we have this descending triangle, and then we have this target to the upside out of the descending triangle. It's just a pattern target of 85 cents. That's our target, right? That's I would say that if ADA were to break out, that's a shorter term target. It's not that far away. It's like 20 cents away. So that's that first area target. But the bigger area that I'm watching for on this chart is this area. And this is another Lux Algo indicator. But remember, we were just looking at this move play out. It obviously had this quick hit of consolidation before continuation. For ADA this time around, I would be looking at this area around $1.25 or so to around $1.05 as a resistance area. Maybe ADA needs to cool off, take a break. We have the first target, 85 cents, pattern target. It could consolidate there. It could bounce to the downside there. Maybe we need to test the 200, right? There can be some choppy consolidation before going to this area, but this is that key area I'm watching. This is an order book level indicator on Lux Algo. I'd be watching this as kind of gravity for ADA. And that is to say, we have the confluence of that Lux Algo indicator, and we also have the volume profile. So the volume profile indicator that you see here, you just see this area of interest, right, for ADA at this general range of $1.25 or so to $1.05. That is kind of a magnet for ADA at this point. And it looks like a war zone, I would say, for the bulls and the bears. What type of consolidation might happen in that area? But that's that next move for ADA on the macro, right? This has all been stepping stones. It's forming the bottom of the bear market. It's exiting the bottom of the bear market. And that exit, by the way, we're looking at from the swing low to that swing high. It's almost a 200% move to the upside. This next stepping stone from where we are now would be around an 80% move or so, 80, 90% move to this area on the charts. So that's that move. Now, whether or not it happens, I really do not know. I can't sit here and say, hey, you know what? We had this exact move last time. We're going to get the break of structure and we're going into the parabolic bull right now. Break of structure, going to happen. We're going into the parabolic bull right now. I can't say that because we're in really, this time around, we're in just brand new territory. But this move that happened on ADA, it was happening as Bitcoin was doing this. Or just after, I believe, Bitcoin did this, breaks its own bull market doors. So the timing is set up. Now, if we zoom in, we get a sense of what we're looking at. And I have a volume profile indicator up again, just showing this area of high volume, area of high interest for ADA. And it's no surprise, it's also at this confluent area of a Fibonacci retracement. So it's a swing high back here, swing low, and this retracement back into a 618 to 786 area. ADA right now testing the 786. As always is the case with these patterns. And look at it looks like the Bitcoin bull market doors. And that's just what a Fibonacci is, right? If we zoom in, or if we zoom out on the Bitcoin bull market doors, there's Bitcoin on a weekly making a very similar move to a Fibonacci. And then here we are on the daily for ADA. So I anticipate potential resistance here. Look at yesterday's wick of resistance at the 786 area. And right now, ADA is at that 786 area. I'm going to watch, anticipate a resistance. If we get the breakout, escape this kind of area on the volume profile indicator, escape the 786, can ADA break away and put separation in? Because at that point, we're going to be testing these swing highs that we see on these daily wicks on ADA, 67 cents, close to 70 cents. And if ADA can make that move, and it's got to be a really powerful move because this is a lot happening right here, a lot of resistance, a powerful move for ADA, I'd be very curious to see if the break of structure goes off on the ADA weekly chart. So those are some targets. They're pretty bullish targets. I'm gonna timestamp this as well. I will put in a bearish target as well. There's no guarantee that the move will continue exactly as it did last time, right? It would be amazing if it did. But what if it's just all rejected? And what if Bitcoin just, it's doing something it's never done, breaking into the bull market doors prior to the halving, but what if it actually falls back out and just starts consolidating down? Let's just say, I always like to anticipate downside. You know me, to the extremes even. And often I'll, I haven't done it in a while, but I'll visualize some bad case scenarios. But let's say Bitcoin falls out of there, and let's say ADA fails where it is and just starts falling. If we go to the weekly chart, check out where this next volume profile area is on this indicator. It's kind of in this area just below the 20-week, but right at that 50-week moving average, which again, that's the range anyway that we always talk about in terms of ADA consolidating on the weekly chart into the halving if it's going to consolidate, right? So if ADA just started falling, I think there's a good support area in that 30 to 40 cent range for ADA. And that's just a downside speculative move that could happen, right? So I wanted to point that out. It's definitely necessary to always consider that. Obviously there's no guarantees that we're just going to keep going up, 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 and up as much as we want to. But right now in the short term, ADA needs to contend with this. I have, lastly, and I'll put this in the timestamp as well. I'm hopping all over the place. I have this, obviously the resistance, but check this out, actually. We have kind of a left shoulder to that resistance, ahead, back to the resistance. If this resistance actually succeeds and ADA starts coming back down again, maybe it's to the 20, the 50-day moving average, right? We're falling to like the mid-50s. Maybe it's lower. Maybe there could be a right shoulder and ADA makes its move to the upside over here. And it's in March or something where we're getting another test of this Fibonacci range. Then we're getting the breakout to the upside. And again, this could be that move to 85 cents. So it doesn't necessarily need to happen now where we're breaking to the upside, but you can see how speculative consolidation could come into play very quickly if there's rejection here at the 786 Fibonacci on this daily chart. But that's what I'm watching for ADA on the shorter term. It's really this range that it's in right now. It's at resistance. And it'll be very interesting to see if it kind of comes up with, if the bulls come up with the energy to break through. So time will tell. That's what I'm tracking for both Bitcoin and ADA as we go into this new week. I appreciate all of you cruising through. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.